Hello, fellow Movie Crusaders, and welcome to our latest episode of the Movie Crusaders Chat About. My name's Sean Waskrug. With me, as always, is Brian Michaels. And today we are talking about, a lot of people are probably like, what the heck does this mean? We're talking about movie marketing. That was kind of the best way to describe it, all in a nutshell. Basically, what we're talking about is how the studios and Hollywood in itself market their movies with, trailers and merchandising, and basically how they kind of are trying to draw people into the theaters. And I think I'm trying to remember, Brian, what led us down this road to talk about this? I'm trying to remember, like, there was something specific you and I were talking about one night, and we were like, let's talk about this.
I think a lot of it started, I'm not sure if this is the very first place it started, but I know a lot of it started with us talking about recent trailers that have been giving away a lot.
Was it during the summer movie preview?
It may have been, and then we just kind of started talking about a lot of other aspects that we'll get into. But I think that was the main.
Yeah, because that was the thing. Is I think we were talking about it was between like Spider-Man, Doctor Strange. I think we were talking about the summer movie preview and how we try our best. We don't always succeed, but we always try our best to watch like the teaser and then like the first main trailer of a movie that we really care about. And then we try our best to stay away from everything else, like the commercials.
Because now it's like 3 trailers, 10 TV spots, miscellaneous clips they release online. It's like you've seen the entire movie.
And then they spoil everything. I mean, it's one of those things where, like, I'm sorry, like, okay, guys, it's been out a week, so spoiler in a way. But like how they gave away Xavier and Captain Carter in commercial spots for Doctor Strange. And it's like, why? You don't need to give us that. Like, we're going to come to the theater no matter what. Especially after Spider-Man No Way Home with the multiverse and all that stuff, you did not need to give that away for free. You should have just dropped that as like oh my God. Especially, like I said, our favorite moment of it was when Xavier comes in and you hear the animated score. Like, we didn't need to already know Xavier's going to be coming into the screen here any moment. Like, had that just came out of nowhere, the appreciation and the oh my God moment of that would have been 10 times better. Would it not have been? Had we not known?
Especially because I mean, they gave away that Xavier was in it in the very first trailer, but then on top of that, the second trailer and some TV clips in that gave away the yellow hover chair, which made people go, "Oh, it's like the one from the animated film." And then or from the animated series, and then so basically the only thing that was a surprise was the music thing.
Exactly. I mean, granted, it didn't give us everything that was in that scene, but it's like you didn't have to do that. Same thing goes, I guess, with Spider-Man No Way Home. Like, the one thing we all assumed was going to happen was that Peter and Toby were going to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was no real ifs, ands, or buts about it. Had they not shown up, everyone would have just been shit on the movie. What they didn't need to do was give away all the villains that were going to show up in the film, because we didn't know who was going to show up, but you gave away all the villains in the trailers, and then you held back on the one thing that were like, well, we know Toby and Andrew are going to show up. Like, it would be stupid if they didn't. But why give away all the villains? Like, that's one of the things. Like, why did you choose to do that? Now, there are other parts like Endgame and Infinity War where they put false stuff in the trailers. Like, one, for example, is like in Infinity War, they showed the Hulk running with the group in Wakanda during the fight, and Hulk.
They also show Thanos in one scene, but they took out some of the stones, so you don't know he has them all at that point.
Exactly. Like, there's stuff like that where it's misleading, which I'm like, I'm okay with that to a point. But the problem is if it's something that's really, really cool, though, and then you take it out, then you're sitting there in the movie going, well, that part hasn't happened in the trailer yet, so I'm waiting for that moment. And then at that point, then you're waiting for something that may or may not come, and then that also sours you.
Well, the extreme example of that is Morbius.
Yes.
Because Marvel takes things out because like Marvel alters their trailers because like, okay, we don't want to spoil these parts of the movie, but I mean the spirit of the movie, those scenes are in there. They just maybe have digitally altered them. Yeah. Even in Spider-Man No Way Home, in the one scene where you see the 3 villains coming, and in the one cut, you see Lizard getting kicked, but they blurred.
You don't see what kicks.
Yeah, that was a bit of a mistake. I wonder if it's an intentional mistake, though. Honestly,
that wasn't in the U.S. That was an Australian trailer.
Yeah,
in the U.S. trailer, they cut it before that happened.
Right, so. But again, I think that alterations like that to try to hide spoilers is one thing. Morbius basically put all these things in the trailer to try and cash in on Spider-Verse, I mean on No Way Home, and try and get you to think that, oh, this is so connected to that in so many ways, and this, you know, and Vulture plays a big part in it and all these other things. And then that stuff wasn't in the movie. I mean, he was in the post-credits in like the worst post-credit scenes ever made.
Yeah, and like you had that one scene where like Morbius is walking down an alleyway and you see a poster of Spider-Man, and it says murderer on it, and that was never in the movie.
Yeah, and I understand trailers are always made before the movie's done. So I understand that things change. There have been movies throughout history where scenes from the trailers have not been in the movie, or alternate takes or alternate versions of those scenes were in trailers. That happens. But this was to the point of being pretty much intentionally misleading just to get that opening weekend box office.
And that leads us down another little road here. We're kind of going to jump all over this. So
just we are
with us. We have no like strict plan. We're just going to kind of just.
That's how the movie creators chat about is always just going to be all over the place.
Exactly. We're going to stick with a main plot point, but it's going to go all over the place. A lot like Multiverse of Madness. But like that's one of the things too. I mentioned this on Weekend Crusaders on one of the episodes. Is there was one movie that I remember going to go see. It was a few years back. I think it was called The Invisible or something like that. I keep forgetting the name.
Justin Chetwin?
Yes. Where the trailer made it seem like it was a specific kind of film. And I was like, all right, cool. I want to go see this. And you go and you see the movie. And that was 100% not the movie that trailer sold you on. To the point where I'm walking out of the theater, it's like, if I had the money, I would sue that company for misrepresentation and misleading us from that trailer. Because the movie that we were promised is not the movie that we got. And there are a lot of movies where it's like that. Like one of them that I think you'll really like me that I'm calling out because you don't like the movie, even though I love the movie, was Hereditary. And the problem with Hereditary, I love Hereditary. It was one of my favorite movies of the year, but I didn't love it the first time I saw it. Now, granted, it was custom or people in the audience, stuff like that. But the problem is that the trailers for it, and Brian, you remember this, scariest movie since Exorcist, scariest movie this, scariest movie that. And Hereditary, while yes, it is a horror film, it is more of a family, psychological, kind of slow burn kind of horror film. And when you're pitching that to the masses, they're coming in expecting to just be like balls to the wall, scare the crap out of you horror, and not this slow burn where it's over an hour into the film when we finally actually start getting some actual horror elements to the movie. And that's why a lot of people, like, yes, reviews, critics giving Hereditary 90-some% Rotten Tomato scores, but the cinema score, which is the everyday person, giving it a grade, was tanked because that was not the movie that they were sold.
That's happened a lot, especially in recent years. Like, I think the most extreme example was the movie Mother with Jennifer Lawrence.
I still to this day have not seen that movie because
I haven't seen it either, but it's like legendary as far as this particular subject because they marketed it as like this kind of horror movie kind of thing, like a Rosemary's Baby kind of thing, and it's not. It's like this religious allegory. It's very weird. It's very like artsy, independent kind of movie type of thing, and so I think it might have even gotten an F cinema score, but that's the problem is, I mean, I understand that show business is a business. They're so like when the marketing department goes to make a trailer, they're like, what can we do? How can we market it to get the most people into the movie theater? But it's like they do that. They make these misleading trailers and people go and see it and they hate it. And not only is it going to hate that movie and kill any chance of any future box office, if you marketed it to the audience that likes that kind of independent stuff, it might actually get good word of mouth. But instead you market it to the wrong people, it tanks. And you've also lost goodwill from people who are like, well, this studio makes shitty horror movies, because I mean, especially with, I will say a lot of people like A24 and those type of movies. Not my tastes. That's not a secret. But there are plenty of people who like that kind of thing. But their marketing department has been kind of notorious for doing that. I mean, I don't think Mother
Hereditary is being one of them.
Hereditary was. I don't think Mother was.
Midsommar is also
Midsommar. What's it? It Comes at Night with Joel Edgerton. Made it look like this supernatural creatures. And there's nothing coming at night. It's about some people that are hiding in their house from a virus or something like that. And it's like this mismarketing. It's like, yes, it might get you that opening weekend number, but it's going to hurt the movie in the long run, and it's going to hurt your future movies and trust in your company in the long run.
Yeah, so I mean that's like back in the day before internet and stuff like that, or at least even early stage of internet, if they did stuff like this, word of mouth is only going to go so far. Like it's like, you know, you might maybe you tell one person, they'll tell maybe 10 people, and you can still mislead everybody, you know, all around the world. Nowadays, one person is pissed about how something's misleading them, and that gets spread out to thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands, and then yeah, your box office tanks, ill will towards studios. I mean, M. Night Shyamalan. I mean, look at him. I mean, granted he'll still come out and he'll still put out some decent stuff here and there, but after I'll say after The Village, because The Village was kind of like when everyone kind of started to wise up on M. Night, was that, oh, there's gonna be a twist, but then the twist sucked, and then I think it was like Lady in the Water after that sucked, and then you know, Happening, Airbender, all this stuff. To the point where it's like when Split came out, I think it was The Visit came out first. The Visit was like, oh yeah, it wasn't that bad. You know, it was like, all right, cool. M. Night, you know, he can't make all bad movies. And then Split came out, and that one was like, oh my God, M. Night actually can make a good movie again. And it took forever to get people to pay attention to Split, because M. Night and marketing for his movies and all that, like I said, he is phenomenal. If it's not M. Night, it's the studios that M. Night works with. They put out A-grade trailers for his movies. No matter how shitty his movies are, the trailers always look great. Old. I still haven't seen Old, but the trailer for Old was definitely intriguing. Same thing with The Village, Lady in the Water, all of them. The trailers for these movies always look great. Then you get into the theater, and the movies aren't so much. And so it got to the point with Split that you were like, cool, it's McAvoy doing, you know, different things. Like, if you love James McAvoy, you're going to go see that movie. If you're kind of like, McAvoy's okay, you're not going to go see that film. And it had to be word of mouth going, hey, guys, no, this movie's actually really, really good. Also, at the end, it tails in Unbreakable, which was probably, to a lot of people, the last great M. Night Shyamalan movie. You know, I like Signs. And then it grew from there enough to the point where they made Glass, which I thought Glass sucked. But all that goodwill brought people in to see Glass. Right. And then a lot of people like me did not find Glass that great. And now M. Night's back at like, we care. And then Old came out and no one really went and saw Old. But, I mean, it's one of those things where in today's climate and the way people dissect trailers now, like you get a split-second shot and they will pause it and they will break down movies. And that's the problem with going on with Doctor Strange right now. And I think Spider-Man had a little bit of it, but not nearly as much, is that everyone theorized and came up with their own ideas and thoughts and what they wanted. Like we were talking about during our spoiler review, how they wanted Iron Man and they wanted all the X-Men and all this kind of stuff. And then because they didn't get it, this movie's not that good. And I was like, that's on you.
Yeah, they never said all these people were going to be in this.
No, they never did. They said that they thought they could maybe they'll come up with something like that, but there was no locked in stuff. And you guys built this whole movie up in your head, and you didn't like the way it came out for you. That's not on the studio. That's on you. But there are other times, though. I think most recently, I'm trying to remember the movie that did it the most now, is that sometimes they're now releasing these like 3.5 minute long trailers. And it's the entire fucking film. Like, you just get, like, Sing 2 just did it. They came out with this 3.5 minute long trailer last year for Sing 2, and it has the beginning, the middle, and the end. Granted, there's other storyline plots throughout, but it's like, you gave me the whole backbone crux of this film. Hobbs and Shaw, you're prior to that. Hobbs and Shaw gave us the beginning, the middle, and it showed us the final act, the final battle through this whole thing. And I was like, I feel like I've already watched it.
There are movies. There was especially recently it was 2 movies in a row. It was Venom, Let Them Be Carnage, and Uncharted, where the trailer showed the final shot of the movie.
Yeah,
not even the final shot. Uncharted showed
Venom
the
1.
end
No, it was
credits.
Venom 1. It was Venom 1, not Let There Be Carnage. Venom 1 did it.
Oh, was it Venom 1? Okay.
It was Venom 1 where he was like, we are Venom. And the turd in the wind thing. Like, that was the final shot of that movie.
I believe they did with Venom 2 as well. Or might have been post-credits. But I know for sure Uncharted.
Venom 2, so I don't remember.
I know for sure Uncharted had the post credit scene was in the trailer.
Yeah,
and
post credit scene was in the trailer.
And it goes back to like what was that the Liam Neeson wolf punchy movie, The Gray.
Oh, The Gray, yeah.
Where the final shot of that trailer is in the movie, which made people think that's what the movie's going to be like, and the movie was nothing like that.
That was a perfect example. Another one of misleading us. You showed us a movie where we're like, yes, let's go see the Liam Neeson fighting wolves movie. The Gray is 100% not that film.
Yeah, the wolves are barely a part of it. It's mostly surviving the element.
The last 5 seconds of the movie is that. But you didn't pay to see the last 5 seconds of it. You paid to see an hour and a half, 2-hour film about Liam Neeson punching wolves and misrepresentation. And everyone bashed the hell out of The Gray when it came out. Now people can go back and watch them and go, you know, The Gray is actually a pretty good movie. And everyone goes, oh, you mean the wolf movie? It's not a wolf movie, but that's what everyone remembers it as.
Yep.
And so we were talking about a lot of the present day stuff, but we were talking about like when do we first remember this starting? And I mean, you could talk about, you know, how like back in the day, like with Jaws and stuff like that, where it's like it only got released in like outlets here, and it grew and it grew and grew from word of mouth and stuff like that. But that, to me, that wasn't really the movies marketing that film. That was the masses. That was the fans. Same thing with Star Wars, where it was just like everyone was like, "Hey, did you see Star Wars is great, and then it grew from there. That wasn't the studios doing that. That was the people doing that. But in terms of like, when do we first remember the actual marketing for a movie being like they're putting some actual money into this? Because now, if you look at a lot of people's like they're like, oh, it cost $350 million to make this film. That's including the marketing. Like it might have only cost maybe 250 million to make the film, and then it was like 100 to 50 or 100, 50 to 150 million is put towards marketing.
Yeah, a movie nowadays pretty much has to make about double its budget.
Yeah.
Its regular production budget.
Exactly.
That's what a lot of people make a profit because they put so much into marketing. Yeah.
A lot of people are like, oh, it only cost 200 to make. It made 250 mil. Yeah, that's considered a failure. Like they need to make about 400. If it's a $200 or $200 million film to make, it needs to make about 400 to 450 mil.
Now, granted, a lot of these movies will eventually end up being profitable because they have, streaming rights and discs and all those kind of things. But as far as the movie itself theatrically being profitable, it has to make.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, that wasn't a failure. Yeah, it like we don't want it to be, but it was. Like we might not get we might not get a sequel to this said movie that we really liked because it didn't. What was the last movie we were talking about where it's like we really liked it, we hope we get a sequel, but we're afraid that we're not going to because we don't think the box office was. Oh God, what was it? It was this year.
There's so many movies. This year it was?
I think it was this year. You and I were talking about it, and we were worried because we were like, I want to see them do more with this, but I'm afraid that it's not going to make the money that they're wanting it to be. And I'm literally pulling up my movies for this year right now. Because we were literally talking about it. I was like, I'm afraid that we're not going to get a sequel to this because, or it could have just been us talking about original films like Northman, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think that's what we were talking about. It was like originality of films. They're not going to make the money that we thought they were going to make. So they're not going. People aren't going to try.
They're going to take those chances
and make those ones anymore.
I mean, you're talking about
that's got to be what it was because I'm looking. I mean, I know a lot of people are. The Fantastic Beasts is an example right now. Is that they're supposed to make
it made money, but it didn't make enough money.
Yeah, it's supposed to. They're supposed to make 2 more. There's 2 more movies to the story, but they've already come out and said if they don't make their money back or if they don't think it's a success profitability wise, then they're just going to stop the story short 2 movies. Which I said in my review. If that happens, I think it ended pretty well.
I honestly think that they may have rewritten it to have so it can be considered closure just in case they didn't go more. Because I think they kind of seen this coming. Because
there's a lot of movies now that we're seeing where they are ending in a way that there is a sequel.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, well, you probably ain't going to get that sequel because the movie's not going to do well or the movie's not good enough to do well to do that. But I mean, but back to what I was interested in, like the first movie that we started seeing this.
Yeah, because I mean, back in the days, like
earlier this year, we talked about earlier this year on the Batman episode.
Yeah, because I mean, before that, I mean, movies always had like their posters, they had trailers, obviously, but they were not really marketing push. It was more just like here's what's coming next kind of thing. They'd have TV commercials, things like that. even all the way up through like the 80s. I mean, there was not really a ton of like marketing, and it was Batman 89 is kind of the benchmark. That's where it started. I watched a whole, like, there's like this hour-long video somebody put together on the marketing push behind Batman. But what they did with that movie is it was the first movie that became basically this giant event. And it wasn't even just about the movie. It was the movie, it was the merchandise was insane how much. There was tie-ins with every kind of product you can think of. There was the whole soundtrack with Prince. They made sure to tie that in, so they got MTV behind him and all this stuff. And it just became this thing where
Happy Meals and
oh yeah. So in 1989, Batman was inescapable. Anywhere you went, if you left the house on any given day, or even in your house, you were going to see Batman like 4 times at least while you're out.
Yeah, like I told you during the Batman episode, one of the first memories I've got is watching the Batman VHS and it opening with Bugs and Daffy selling Batman merch and him having a number. Call this to get your Batman t-shirt and your Batman hat. And then the movie starts. Yep. I remember that. And that's merch right there. That's right to the kids. That's not to the adults. That's to the kids going, hey, Bugs and Daffy, they love Batman too. You want those shirts? Call this WB number or whatever and go from there. And because of how successful that was, it kind of really started.
That's changed marketing forever. Yeah,
exactly. And then, Batman Returns came out and that also cost people jobs. Like Tim Burton didn't get the third film because Batman Returns was too dark for selling the merch for that stuff. And they wanted to go more kiddie friendly. So they got Schumacher to Schumacher it up. Like, the movies weren't that good, but goddamn, they sold a fuckload of merch for those movies. Made it colorful and bright with neon and
nipples
and bat nipples and all that kind of stuff, and we lost kind of the dark awesomeness of Batman Returns. As batshit crazy as it was, Batman Returns is a favorite amongst many, many Batman fans because it didn't try to make things kiddie. The first Batman didn't really either, but those two movies.
The last two movies are really closer to the Adam West Batman show than they are to the first two Batman movies.
Exactly.
They're so campy.
Or now because of Nolan and stuff like that, we're back to that darker Batman stuff. We're not trying to make it kiddie. We're not trying to reach those age groups. We're trying to reach our age groups because we're the ones that grew up with Batman. Mm-hmm. We're the ones who grew up with that animated series. We're the ones who grew up with the Saturday morning the Adam West one came on. You're like, hey, that's funny, but let's watch the Michael Keaton Batman. Let's watch all this. And to stay on Batman, just because we're already on the Batman train of it all, I mean, Batman, yes, marketing-wise for Schumacher, it worked. But obviously the movies weren't good. And thus, because of that, like, yes, you can go out and you can buy all the Mr. Freeze and Uma Thurman, Poison Ivies, and Batgirl, Robin stuff from Batman Robin. The problem is that the movie wasn't good and people didn't pay to see it. They would buy the merch, but they weren't paying to see the film, which killed the Batman franchise until Nolan came back. And that's kind of one of the things that you and I talked about on the same episode is that Batman Begins felt more like an independent film because Nolan was a good director, but Nolan wasn't really an established director. And you could tell that Batman Begins was not really marketed as
it was not marketed heavily at all. I mean, obviously they marketed it and it came out, but there was not like a giant marketing push behind it. It was more kind of like they kind of wanted to ease into it, like, how about this Batman film now?
Yeah, like, let's try and see if you guys like this. And then everyone was like, that was actually a really good Batman movie. And then we get The Dark Knight. And The Dark Knight did things in a brilliant kind of way. Is they were like, hey, let's use the internet to our advantage. Let's drop these Joker websites where they're nothing special, but they were enough to get people to flock to these generic websites with just weird writing and clues, and you had to go to
real life scavenger hunts.
Exactly. Yeah. It was a scavenger hunt where you had to go to this website and dissect this newspaper article, and you had to go to this website and hear this sound bite. And by doing all this, you will get to this one website, you put in all the clues, and you get the first teaser trailer of Heath Ledger's Joker. And of course, once that happened, then it was everywhere. But it took a good, few weeks to a month or so for people to decipher all this stuff to get this trailer. And thus it was gone from there. I mean, you had the Harvey Dent, We Believe in Harvey Dent websites where people were like, hey, like almost treating it like a political kind of website, like, hey, get behind Harvey Dent, vote for Harvey Dent kind of thing, where they basically are like, you know what, the commercials are gonna come, the toys are gonna come, all that stuff. Let's use the internet to our advantage.
And what's funny is, as you mentioned, how they talked about the Batman Begins was marketed like an independent film. This one was marketed very much like about a decade earlier, 1999, Blair Witch Project.
Yeah.
Now that's basically about the time the internet started really becoming a thing. Was right at the turn of the century.
Mm-hmm.
And Blair Witch obviously is a movie that had no known actors in it, no known directors. The posters and everything made it feel like this is a documentary. This is actual footage. This is real found footage, because this wasn't really a thing, this found footage phenomenon.
Yeah.
So they created these. They did the same thing. They created these websites, like this Blair Witch Project, where it like showed these people that went on this thing and they were disappeared. They're or found dead or whatever. And they made everybody believe it was real, but they basically got people to go flock to the internet so that they would start spreading the word, and it would become this viral thing. And so it's kind of funny that Batman Begins, you said, got marketed like an independent movie, and Dark Knight did as well. It just went a different route of independent marketing instead of the usual. I mean, yes, they had trailers and things, but like you said, in the beginning, kind of to get the buzz rolling, they're like, hey, what's created buzz recently? Let's do this online thing, and it worked.
Yeah, I mean, with Blair Witch, to stay on Blair Witch, I mean, they did it in such a way that it felt like it was like an unsolved mystery. What happened to these 3 hikers up in Maryland? Mm-hmm. It was the Blair Witch. Who's the Blair Witch? Oh, you never heard of the Blair Witch? Here's the story of the Blair Witch. To the point where when this movie came out, because they used 3 actors who had never been in anything ever before, you can still, some of them, I'm pretty sure, like the guys, they still really haven't done anything since Blair Witch. The girl,
I think some of them popped up on like some TV episodes, things like that. Even the girl hasn't done that much. Yeah. But it's funny is like at the time, if you went on to their IMDb page, it said these people are dead.
Yeah, like people called the cops. People were going to those woods to try and find the house and try to search and try to help find these 3 missing hikers because they thought it was real. Eventually, they had to have cops surrounding the woods to keep people from trespassing, and you had to do all this kind of stuff because that's how well the marketing became. And Blair Witch became this overnight success, and then everyone had to have a lost found footage movie, and all that became a trend that they started.
Well, the thing is, and I have no problem with most found footage movies, although in a lot of cases it's just a way to make a cheap movie. But the problem is, after that first one, none of the ones after that had that thing where people believe this is real. It was just like, it was done in that style, but only that first one you get away with that.
Yeah, fool me once, and then everyone's like, "Yeah, well, is it?" And it's like, "No, you're stupid if you think that it's not real." Kind of like, and then to keep on the horror train, you then had Paranormal Activity, which I know you're not a fan of, but the way Paranormal did their marketing was brilliant. It became like they did the festivals, they did all that stuff. Everyone loved it on the festivals, but at the time when that came out, people weren't really reading, oh, here's the top 20 movies that are coming out of Sundance. Here's the top 20 movies coming out of Cannes or how you say that name. You have to, like, now it's like they come out with that and it's like, oh, okay, everyone's paying attention to these 20 movies that come out. Back when Paranormal Activity came out, unless you were like in the business, like kind of how like you and I are really into it now, the normal people didn't look that stuff up. So when you had Paranormal Activity, it had been out probably about a good year and a half already, but no one had heard of it. And then Spielberg got into it because Spielberg loved it. And he went to the 2 guys who made it and like, hey, you guys need to sell this. You guys need to get this in theaters and stuff like that. And it's like, well, we don't have anyone backing us. So Spielberg's like, we're going to drop it. Now, it might not have been Spielberg, it might have been the studios, but they dropped it to campuses. You had to go onto a website and you had to put in your campus as, we want to see this film. We want you to bring this movie to our campus and we will show it to our university and all this kind of stuff. And so you had hundreds of colleges. They would drop a trailer reel of
demand it now.
Yeah, exactly. And you had to book your campus, and you had to have like so many people from the campus, like students, like agree, like, yeah, we want it. And if you got to a certain number, then you got to see it. And to the point where it got too big, and like, all right, well, now we're going to release it in the theaters. And you had built all this up, and then Paranormal Activity became what it is now, which, I mean, now it's kind of dead. But at the time, it grew into a franchise that never had any real business being a franchise. Like, they had to change the ending, which I still hate the endings, and the original ending was the best. But then they were like, well, we can't do more if we kill the freaking main character. But it was all about the word of mouth and going, hey, this movie looks great. Cool, I want to see it. Oh, you can only see it if you go to this website and you nominate your school and you get all these people. Like, you got everyone to do the word of mouth for it. And then there's the marketing where, hey, screw the money, screw the commercials. We're going to drop a trailer 2 weeks before this movie comes out. We're not going to tell you anything about this movie. But we're going to sell it in a way that's going to make you want to see this film. And then we're just going to drop the movie. And that's Cloverfield. Cloverfield, no one knew what it was. No one had heard about it.
I don't even remember what movie it was they put the trailer on, but it didn't even have the title of the movie on it.
It didn't.
It just had the date.
It had the date, and then the trailer was the first part of the movie. It was when the Statue of Liberty's head went flying down the street, and you hear the oh my god, and you're like, oh my god, are they making a Godzilla movie? Are they making a new Godzilla film? And it was found footage, and it just had the date, which was 2 weeks from that first trailer dropping, and Cloverfield came out, and it was a huge success. And how did they follow that up? They dropped the second movie, which no one really talks about because the second movie the second movie was 10 Cloverfield Lane, which wasn't even a Cloverfield movie.
It's not. It's yeah.
No one.
They try to artificially connect it, but it's like no. It's a whole different. It's literally a different.
I'm not talking about the third one. I'm talking about 10 Cloverfield Lane.
No, even that one was originally a whole separate script.
Yeah.
That they then decided we'll turn this into a Cloverfield movie. So there's like a couple mentions of things to try to connect it, but it's
basically they wanted it in the same universe, but it wasn't. It was like not in the same state as. It wasn't in New York. They wanted to kind of create this. We're going to make a Cloverfield verse, and we're going to do all these weird movies. They're all going to be in the same world. It's all going to be around this, circling around the same thing that happened in New York, but happened in different areas. And 10 Cloverfield Lane wasn't called 10. I can't remember what 10 Cloverfield Lane was originally called, but like Mary Elizabeth Winstead and John Goodman, and I'm blanking on the other actor. They were making this movie. They had no.
John Gallagher Jr.
What's that?
John Gallagher Jr.
John Gallagher Jr. Yeah. They had no idea they were making a Cloverfield film. It wasn't until the end where they go, oh, yeah, this is a Cloverfield movie. Here's that third act that connects it all. And then, like people saw trailers for it. No one really knew what it was. And then you added, I think it was like 10 Lane. And then they added Cloverfield to it. And all of a sudden everyone was like, oh, my God, Cloverfield. And then you need to go see it. And then the third film, I forgot what the third one's called. I think it was
Cloverfield Paradox.
Yeah, it's Cloverfield Paradox. They dropped a commercial during the Super Bowl. You're like, oh, sweet. A new Cloverfield movie's coming out. And they go,
now
released right after the game ends on Netflix. Yeah. And everyone, I did it. I flocked right to Netflix as soon as the game ended, and I watched it. And the movie sucks.
But to get the movie sucked, again, it was a movie originally had nothing to do with Cloverfield and decided to artificially add a couple lines to connect it.
So poorly.
And I had heard this movie was coming out, but then they decided to put it on Netflix. But but nobody knew it was going to be dropping online.
I guarantee you. Everyone that was a Cloverfield fan. Soon as that game ended, we all logged right into Netflix and started watching that movie. And because Cloverfield was just a mastermind of how to just do these things. We haven't had one.
And they as well had with the first Cloverfield, I know for a while. I don't remember the name of the websites, but they did the same thing where they had a bunch of fake websites and things you had to go to. I can't remember what it was. I just by the way, it was the first Transformers movie was where they dropped the Cloverfield trailer.
That's right. Yeah, it was like for the next 2 weeks till the movie came out, they had those websites that like the Dark Knight had. So like there are like I agree that at the beginning of the episode we were bashing movie marketing, we were bashing how they ruin stuff. These are cases where this shit actually worked. This went really well for him. You were mentioning when we were talking about game planning for this, you brought up T2.
Yes. Because we were talking
about how they give stuff away. All right, so we'll go into that. So to me, like I was talking about with like Hobbs and Shaw and Scene 2, where they gave like a 3.5 minute trailer, which they basically give away the whole movie. Mm-hmm. My problem was, and this is kind of where the crux of this episode came for me. Like Brian came up with this idea for this episode, but as soon as he brought it up, I was like, oh yeah, and I brought up this one movie. It's a Terminator film, Terminator Genesis, where literally I think it was the first, or it might have been the second trailer of the movie, gives away the biggest twist of the film. which spoilers for a movie that's however many years old now.
It's okay for us to do it because now there's some time passed. Yeah.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of times passed now.
But the movie hadn't come out yet for them though.
Yeah. The twist was that John Connor is a Terminator and he's the bad guy. And I remember watching the trailer going, did they seriously just let that like just go in a trailer? Because that's a huge moment.
I was sure. I was like, you know what? I bet there's a Terminator who is impersonating John Connor, but he's not the real John Connor because there's no way they would give that away, right? Yeah, they did.
Nope. That's the movie.
Which I had forgotten actually when I went back and realized in the previous movie, Terminator Salvation, the trailers gave away that Sam Worthington's character.
They did.
When we didn't know that. Now that it was while a major spoiler, it's not taking John Connor, the main character of the.
That one became more as, is John? This might be how John figures out how he can work with machines. Kind of thing. Yes, you probably shouldn't have given away that Sam Worthington was a Terminator, but
it wasn't John Connor.
It opens the door to another story of the film. Whereas in Genesis, you dropped that and you're like, okay, like Brian said, like that's probably just a Terminator in person. Like, no. John Connor is a Terminator. He is the bad guy to this movie. And it's like, why would you release that? You didn't have. You could have shown him as Terminators, like without him. It's like because clearly you can add stuff in trailers that aren't in movies. You could have done everything, like pitched it in a way like that it wasn't John Connor, and then dropped that in the movie, and that twist would have been like. Granted, the movie still wasn't that good, but huge. The twist would have been massive. But when you gave it away in the trailer, and then you show that trailer like 50 fucking times, between now and when the movie releases, that when the movie came out, we were like, yeah, we already fucking knew that.
Thing is, it wasn't even the first time. I mean, the franchise has a long-standing history with that because I mentioned to you, we go all the way back to Terminator 2, and the trailers for Terminator 2 basically showed that Arnold Schwarzenegger's Terminator was the good guy protecting John Connor, and they were helping protect him from this other bad guy. And that you can tell when you watch the movie, that scene is supposed to be a huge surprise, a huge twist. The way it is, Terminator's coming at him, and then all of a sudden he's like, no, he pushes him aside, and behind him shoots it, and it's like that's a big major surprise. But the trailer completely gave that away.
Yeah, that's one of the things that really irks me nowadays. There was a movie recently, I'm trying to remember what it was again, where they gave away the twist in the trailer. And then, it was Han. It was Han in F9. Like, they gave away that Han's alive in F9. But then the whole movie, like, the first, hour or so is teasing that, Han's not there. And then Han shows up and it's supposed to be this big, and we're like, yeah, no, we already fucking know. You gave it away in the trailer. We've seen Han, 1,000 times before this movie came out. Like, you shouldn't have given that away. Same thing with John Cena being Vin's brother. You don't need to give that away. You just have, hey, John Cena's this new bad guy. Cool. Oh, wait. Shit, he's the brother? Oh, my God. No, you gave it away in the...
That's right from trailer 1 even. That wasn't even...
That was in the teaser.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's so many ways you could do it. And you didn't have to drop that. You knowing that John Cena is Vin Diesel's brother in F9 does not sell the movie more than you not knowing that he was the brother. It's still John Cena. He's still the bad guy. He's still fighting Vin Diesel. Throwing that twist into the trailer took a little bit of the blow away. Like, you didn't need to know that. Like, it would have hit better. Granted, it's a bad movie, but it would have worked better had we not already known that going in ahead of time. Same thing with Han being alive. You did not need to know. Now you're leaving breadcrumbs throughout the movie that they're going to Tokyo and they're going to where Han's old place is and and then when Han shows up, you're like, oh my God, it's Han. Like, the whole cast is like shocked that Han's alive, and no one in the theater's shocked. Why? Because you freaking told us already.
Because you already gave it all away.
You already know. And then they try to explain how Han lived. It's like, fuck you. It's like ugh. That's when you start your hands. Are like, Fast 9 sucks, but. It's movies, trailers like that, like I said with T2, that you didn't have and that's the thing is by giving us the twist, and it's not a twist, but by giving us the plot point that Arnold was the good Terminator, you had to show us the T-1000, so that way you knew what they're fighting in this movie. If marketing wise, if they had kept it that Arnold's still hunting. You could have shown him walking down the hallway and Linda Hamilton freaking out. You could have shown him shooting in the mall, but not shown the T-1000. People would have gone into this movie going, we're about to see another Terminator with Arnold Schwarzenegger as the bad guy hunting John. John's older now. You
could have been shown the cop chase him, just assumed it was a cop. That's
exactly. And then you would have been in the movie going, what? And then here's this new character, the T-1000. You're like, oh my God, this is, because like you don't know that Arnold's good before the T-1000 shows up. The T-1000 starts doing it. You're like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, Arnold's the good guy. Oh crap! Like it would have hit harder. It would have hit better in certain things like that. And it's just all about. It's like I feel like movie marketers, to me, are almost like kids that buy a present for their parents, and they know they're supposed to keep it a secret. But they know that they just can't hold it in. And if mom and dad knows what the present is before they open it, they're going to be more surprised than they would if they had opened the present without knowing it. And I feel like that's what marketers are like, where it's like, oh, yeah, this big twist that Xavier is going to be in Doctor Strange. Oh, it's so good. It's so juicy. I can't wait to people to know. You know what? Fuck it. Let's put it in the trailer. Everyone's going to be so ecstatic and happy. It's like, it would have hit better.
Yeah.
We didn't fucking know. And then you have, and it's just, that's why I say, whenever I see marketers, I'm like, you just couldn't wait for the present to open, could you? Like, you just had to tell us what was happening. And, that was probably one of the things, which, I mean, I was kind of glad because I knew the crap movie that I was about to walk into, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. The first trailer showed the first half of the movie. Okay, cool. They're going to the island. There's a volcano hitting. They got to try to save the dinosaurs. All right, cool. Then they came out with the second trailer, which showed basically the latter half of the movie, where it's basically dinosaurs in a mansion. And I remember seeing that trailer going, oh, shit, this movie's going to suck. This is a total tonal shift. Everything just feels different now, and this is not going to work. Now, me, sadly, I did what we do. I saw the first trailer, and then I didn't watch the second trailer, so I did not know. That's probably why I hate it so much.
Well, I even heard the director describe it as like almost like a haunted house movie with dinosaurs.
That's why I think I hate the movie as much as I do, because I steer clear of that second trailer. I never saw. Mm-hmm. I never knew the movie was going to do that. So, I mean, I didn't know that we were going into this haunted fucking mansion of dinosaur shit. Part of me is like, and then because I remember I watched it, I was like, what the fuck is this? And then after I saw the movie, I went back and I watched like the second trailer, and I was like, oh shit, they gave all this away. Like, oh, I could have known ahead of time this movie was gonna suck.
Now in that case, it's kind of on you, but again,
it's on me, but it's also.
But the problem is because that didn't really give away spoilers. It's just it's showing kind of where the movie's going, which is what a trailer's supposed to do, kind of show you what the movie's going to be, and that's what that trailer did. But by you worrying, that's like validly so, because so many trailers do it, worrying that it would spoil stuff, you avoided the second trailer, and so you didn't know that's where it was going.
I did, which is why I hate that movie so damn much. And what sucks is right before we started the show, out there, they're actually watching Fallen Kingdom right now, and they're at the stupid auction scene, and I'm just like, we're gonna talk about that next month when we do the Jurassic Park franchise thing. So we're not gonna unveil that now, but yeah. So there are times though where the movie marketing puts so much out there that they completely just turn the masses against the movie. One particular one for me, and the movie's not bad, but the marketers, just like with Hereditary, they didn't know how to market the movie. So they were like, we're going to market 18 different things to the point where you have no idea what the movie is and what you're going to go to. And one of those is John Carter. John Carter is actually a pretty dang good movie. But Disney fucked everything up marketing this film, that by the time John Carter actually did come out, no one wanted to see this movie. You could write a book about everything to do wrong about marketing films, and you can just go John Carter. Example A, John Carter. Are there other examples? Absolutely, but have you seen John Carter? This is the one you need to know about, because everything you could do wrong with marketing is, and it's like, oh, this is the biggest loss in Disney history. They've lost so much money with John Carter. It's like, yeah, because you marketed it up the ass to everybody, and you marketed it the wrong way.
Their biggest problem, well, first of all, they called it John Carter, which is a boring title, which tells you nothing about the movie. It was originally John Carter of Mars, which at least gives you an idea. It kind of has some personality to it. But their biggest problem was that the year before, I think it was just the year before, Avatar had come out. And they're like, oh, look, we're kind of like Avatar too. That was basically their marketing campaign, was, hey, you liked Avatar? We're kind of like that. And it was just like, that was not the way to go for this movie.
And then they also like, this is the story that gave us Star Wars. This is the story that gave us this. It's like, no, Star Wars, John Carter did not give us Star Wars. Kurosawa gave us Star Wars. John Carter is one of the first sci-fi books or sci-fi, adaptations ever, but that didn't give us Star Wars. And it's one of those things where it's like I said, they didn't know how to market this movie. Because I remember going into it going, oh, this is going to be bad. All right, let's see it. And I'm watching it and I was like, this is actually not bad. I don't hate this movie. It's like, but this is so not the movie that Disney made me think it was going to be. Disney basically made me like prepare for the worst. Like, it was one of those things where it's like, Disney made me prepare that I was on a plane, the plane's going down, we're all going to die. And then you're preparing to just, go down in flames, and then you land safely. And you're just like, well, you guys made me freak out over nothing. Like, this is actually not that bad. And everyone's like, John Carter's horrible. Did you actually go see it? No, but it looks bad. Maybe you should actually go see the movie. It's really not.
I would say, and I mean, you're talking about on the high end of big budget, spectacular movies. I just want to give one example. For me, was the movie In Bruges, which
I finally watched for the very first time this weekend.
All I remember is the original trailer for that looked like the worst movie ever. Like, I have no interest in this movie. It looks completely unfunny. It looks stupid.
Which is why I never watched it.
No interest. Didn't watch it.
Yeah.
It came out. I heard some people raving about it. Like, really? That's good? And I watched it, and I love that movie. That movie is so good. And it's like, when you make it, like you said, you make this shit trailer for a movie, or in your case, a whole shit marketing campaign.
Yeah.
So you're like going expecting this to be, and it turns out to be, well, in my case, it was very good. In John Carter, I don't love John Carter, but like you said, it makes you think, oh, that wasn't that bad at all. I at least agree with that part of it. But in the case of In Bruges, it's like, wow, I almost love it even more because you had my expectations set so low.
And that was the problem with John Carter, though, is that they had toxified everybody towards this movie, that even when you go, hey, guys, John Carter actually really wasn't that bad. I don't care. I don't want to see that. That looks horrible. And no, never. Cats was the same way. Cats was marketed so badly.
But Cats was.
But Cats deserved it, though. Cats, I'm not defending Cats. I'm not defending Cats.
I thought you were going to say.
No. But that's one of the things where they kind of almost, I feel like they almost leaned into it. Like, we know it's bad, so we're going to market it.
Well, my thing with Cats is, if you know what Cats is, Cats the musical, they pretty much gave you what you wanted. The problem is that it's like, it's a very weird thing, and a lot of audiences aren't going to love it. But so yeah, they just leaned in and said, here's what it is, and it looked bad, and it was bad. But
I mean, in terms of like the John Carter at all, you mentioned another movie that literally the marketing campaign caused people to just hate this movie, and it's not a bad movie, and that was
I was Last Action Hero.
Yeah,
which I'll get into in
right there.
Yeah. Because it kind of goes back to Batman, because Batman was this huge thing. It was the biggest marketing phenomenon basically until episode 1, Star Wars episode 1. But basically that kind of kicked off this whole thing where every studio is like, oh, we're going to do that. We're just going to saturate the marketplace. We're going to market it on everybody's throat, because if they see it everywhere, then they'll definitely want to go see the movie. And the very next year, Disney tried to do that with Dick Tracy of all things. I guess they figured, hey, it's a comic book movie too. We'll do the same thing. They tried to market the hell out of Dick Tracy and put out merchandise and all stuff. But the problem is 99.9% of the people in the world don't give a shit about Dick Tracy. So that movie flopped, and it sucked too. But then a couple years later, in 1993, Last Action Hero came out, which Last Action Hero, at this point, Arnold is the biggest action star on the planet. You know, he can basically make whatever he wants, and he's kind of making this movie, which is like this meta thing where he's kind of making fun of himself. So it's a comedy, but it's an action movie. And I admit it's a little bit difficult thing to market, but they did the same thing where they just had it everywhere. They had the merchandise. They had multiple trailers that showed in front of every single movie you saw. They had TV spots everywhere, and then they started doing all kinds of weird stuff. At one point they had paid like $500,000 to have Last Action put on the side of a rocket that was going to launch up into space. It was going to be this big event. The hilarious part of that is that the launch got delayed, and so that rocket didn't actually launch until August, which was like 2 months after the movie had already opened and left theaters because it flopped. They'd put a big inflatable Arnold, like a giant inflatable
I remember
Arnold,
that. I remember that inflatable Arnold.
that was in the middle of like New York City, holding the thing of dynamite, just after there had been the first bombing of the World Trade Center. So then they later had to go, they took it down, they put it back up with, he was holding like a badge instead. But it was just like, they did all these big, you know, elaborate marketing publicity stunts. And it's like every one of them was just such an epic failure. And people were just like tired of it and sick of it. And it turned people against the movie before it even opened. Now, years later, people are finally coming around this movie and they're watching it and saying, hey, you know what? This is actually a pretty good movie. And it is. I think it's such an underrated movie, but because of the marketing, it had turned everyone off.
I remember not liking it when I was younger. I mean, I was 8 when Last Action Hero came out.
It's hard to get the meta stuff in it when you're 8.
Well, that's the thing is, the problem was that meta wasn't a thing yet. The only thing that I can recall at that time that was meta was Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which that's really leaning into the cartoons of it all. And Brett had all the names, you know, it had Looney Tunes and all that stuff marketing behind it. So like that had all that extra help. Last Action Hero had Arnold. That was it. And so you couldn't, you know, had it came out like we said, had it came out like 4 years later after Scream, and effectively Scream 2, I feel like that they probably would have kind of understood how to market it better. And Last Action Hero actually probably would have been a success overall, instead of it now being more like a niche kind of cult film, because it bombed so badly because of just how they flush it down everyone's throats. Because they just didn't know how to, you know, promote meta at that time, because meta really wasn't a thing till 96. Another movie that because it's the only movie we haven't talked about yet that's on the thing behind me, you wanted to talk about Godzilla 98. Well, I hate this movie, but Brian wanted to talk about this movie.
Well, it actually, I put 2 movies together, and that was Independence Day and Godzilla, both from Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin. Independence Day was probably the biggest movie, especially marketing wise and also kind of performance wise, since Batman. There's Jurassic Park in between. But Jurassic Park actually, I mean, while there was a marketing push obviously for Jurassic Park, it was more traditional.
Jurassic Park, to me, did it brilliantly because they just knew dinosaurs are going to sell. And they did everything they could they kind of went the Jaws approach with it. We're going to promote this without actually showing you the dinosaurs.
They just teased it.
Right before the movie comes out.
And do you know why they did that? Because Steven Spielberg is powerful enough that he had some control over the marketing.
Because you remember, you watched the old trailers pre-release. I think the most you got was like the T-Rex finger going over the
you got like the eye, I think, going down by the.
You got the eye thing. You didn't get to see the full T-Rex. You didn't get to see the Brachiosaurus. You didn't get to see the Velociraptors or all that kind of stuff. So you had this mystery around it. Anyone who read the book, everyone knew, like, oh my God, how are they going to pull this off? This, you know, whatever. But for people who didn't read the book, like I hadn't read it at the time because I was too young, I just went because freaking dinosaurs, and no one knew exactly what was going to happen with it, which is why when it did come out, everyone was like, oh my God, have you guys seen what the dinosaurs look like? They look real. Like they look, which to this day, we talked about, they look real. They look fantastic. And the marketing campaign for that was great because it was like, it's Spielberg's next big film. It's a worldwide bestseller, and it's about dinosaurs. Here's a little snip here, a little snip here. We're not going to give everything away. And word of mouth elevated that thing to the stratosphere, just like Jaws did.
So Independence Day basically took the best of both worlds, because Independence Day they did a large part in keeping. They tried to hide the aliens what they looked like in the movie. I think all the way up until the like.
I think it was until the first toy came out.
It was a week before the movie came out. The first toys started showing up in toy stores, and that was the first time anybody knew what the aliens looked like. They had done, but they tried to do that where they're teasing and hiding things, but at the same time they had the giant marketing push. I mean, they had multiple teaser trailers, and these are teaser trailers.
Everything was about the White House being blown up.
It was about but actually even before that, the first teasers would just be like these ominous things, these ships showing up and all these kind of things. And they had this very slow build up until the first full major trailer, which was all about the White House blowing up and stuff like that. But they had created this great imagery, this great tone to it, where they didn't have to show you everything. They really used the art of a true teaser to get people interested in the movie, kind of like how Jurassic Park did. But then, like I said, the toys and that kind of gave away stuff. And then that's
a whole other marketing thing now, is where toys are literally spoiling movies before they even happen, because the toy stuff, like
the Lego's the worst. Yeah,
Lego. I mean, Ghostbusters Afterlife spoiled Egon showing up. I mean, there's a ton of toys that spoil movies way before trailers or anything.
Yeah, and I understand it's because to have the toys out when the movie comes out, the toy companies have to have this stuff in production and stuff way ahead of time. So there's that many more people, that many more companies that can actually leak stuff. So it happens. So I get it. But in '98, the same people who did Independence Day made Godzilla, which I maintain is not nearly as bad as everybody says it is. It's not good. It's not good, but it's not as terrible as people say. But they did the same thing with Independence Day. There was like these awesome teasers where it was like kind of slowly leading up to it. And they had these marketing campaigns where like there'd be like on the sides of buses, it would say his foot is as big as this bus, or there'd be these buildings saying, he's as tall as this. And they had these all kinds of crazy marketing out in the real world. And again, they never showed what Godzilla looked like in the trailers and stuff before the movie came out. Now, again, the toys hit about a week before the movie came out, and so kind of people knew what it looked like. But
that was the end of the marketing, because
no matter what you think of the movies themselves, Independence Day or Godzilla, they were masterful marketing, because they got everyone talking about it, and they, as a result, they had huge opening weekends. Actually, they had a huge whole box office. But from a marketing standpoint, after Batman, that was probably the most successful campaign.
Yeah, I mean, there's good ways to do it, there's bad ways to do it, and then like I said, the publicity stunts, like with Jurassic or with Godzilla, worked perfectly. Last Action Hero, not so much. Sometimes you should run it up the ladder a few times before you do certain things.
Yeah, was it Mission Impossible? Mission Impossible, one of them, I don't know which. I want to say 4, like Ghost Protocol. They had decided they're going to do like this viral marketing, start this kind of buzz out in the world, where in like these, you go around town, there's like those newspaper things, you put the coin in to get a newspaper. They had put like these little things inside like 400 newspaper machines. When you open it up, it started playing the Mission Impossible theme and like the sound of like the ticking bomb or whatever.
Yes.
And people thought they were real like terrorist devices. It's like bomb squads actually blew up a couple of them because they thought it was just the worst.
I remember that now. For a second there, I was like, what is he talking about? I was like, oh,
that's just viral marketing gone way wrong.
I remember that. Like, clearly they didn't run that up the ladder.
Yeah.
Wait, let's think about this real quick. But yeah, there's with marketing, like I said, whether it be the toys, whether it be the commercials, the publicity stunts, the trailers, which is really kind of more or less the big thing now, because you don't see it's mainly the toys and the trailers. You don't really see the big publicity stunts anymore, and if you do, they're not as big a news now as they were back, in the 90s.
No, publicity stunts now tend to be more things that they're trying to go viral on the internet. Like I remember in Cary, they rigged up a coffee shop where these people, it's basically like a prank. Like they had this girl in a coffee shop, and all these people that were in there, just real patrons. And she'd start. It looked like she was like making things fly around and stuff. And they're like, "Oh, look at the prank we pulled on these people." Publicity stunts nowadays are more things like that, trying to get these viral videos out there.
And which even still, I mean, you have, like I said, with Marvel, not the last two. Doctor Strange kind of wasn't one of them, but like Spider-Man, it was more, why haven't you done anything yet? Why haven't you dropped anything yet? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? To the point where they didn't have to drop a trailer. They didn't. Same thing with Thor: Love and Thunder right now. Everyone's like, the movie's less than 2 months away and we still haven't seen anything yet. Why is it? We're like, we don't. This is the marketing right here. We don't have to give you shit.
I've always maintained, like, especially when it came to like the last couple Star Wars movies, I was like, they don't need to drop a trailer for Rise of Skywalker. They people know it's coming out. They don't need to market. I would say they did, but I'm like,
yeah.
But people are just like, we have to have a trailer. That's how it works. You give us a trailer 6 months in advance. Like, no, they don't have to.
No, that's what I was telling you. Is like after Infinity War, it's like, where's the Endgame trailer? I was like, you don't need a fucking trailer.
I didn't want one, honestly.
It's Endgame. You're gonna see the damn movie. Like, if I was gonna do the trailer, I basically just would have shown everyone getting dusted in the final scene and go, come see the conclusion.
Yeah.
Endgame. Because that was the thing too, that you didn't know what the title was until the first day. It was just the next Avengers movie. It was called Infinity War 2 for a while because no one knew what it was going to be called. And it's like, but no, everyone's like, no, I want something. Like, no, you don't need it. You're gonna see the movie. Like, I mean, look at the box office for Endgame. Isn't it number 1, number 2, something like that? It's like you don't have to give everyone what they want. Like No Way Home, you sell the Spider-Man are coming back. That's all you got to do. You don't have to sell shit. They're gonna come see the movie. Thor: Love and Thunder. You sold Thor: Love and Thunder 3 years ago when you said Natalie Portman's coming back to play Lady Thor. That's it. And you're saying Taika Waititi's coming back to direct because everyone loved Ragnarok. You don't need to sell it. You don't need to stop. Oh yeah, the Guardian's gonna be in it. Okay, cool. You don't need to show us anything. Doctor Strange. Yeah, they did need to show us stuff for Doctor Strange because you're just like, I really don't know what's going on with here. But like when Guardians of the Galaxy 3 come out, do they need to show anything for that? No, they don't. When the next Spider-Man movie eventually comes out, do they need to show anything? No. Into the Spider-Verse just got pushed back to next year. Do they need to give us a trailer for Spider-Verse? No, they don't. They will,
but they don't need
to. They will. We'll get
but I honestly, I love this trend, though, of short, because it used to be, I mean, you would see trailers. I remember seeing teasers for movies. I think Godzilla was one of them. A year ahead of time.
Like a year or two.
Like it'd be summer of 97 and you'd see a trailer for Godzilla, coming summer 98, and you're just like, really?
Why are you showing me this a year?
And now granted, they were just teasers. They weren't like showing you footage and stuff like that. But so many movies have shown you so much, especially when they started so early and they show you a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. By the time you get there, it's like you've seen it and you've lost the excitement. You think you're building your excitement when people are just like, oh, we've been watching this trailer for 6 months. So I love that they're shrinking that window. I hope war trailers don't come out until like a month or two before.
Yeah, like one of I can't remember what movie it was now. It came out last year finally. Now, granted, because nowadays we're seeing more and more movies get pushed back, postponed. A lot of that's kind of because of COVID and stuff like that. But I can't remember what freaking movie it was. It was last year because we made a joke that was like, oh, I feel like we've seen the trailer for this movie for 3 straight years now, and it's finally coming out because they kept putting the trailer out. In movies.
For me, that was Jackass Forever. See, I saw that trailer on every movie for a year and a half.
I hadn't seen a trailer for Jackass Forever at all. But but there were certain movies last year, like so I'm blanking on which ones they were, where it's like, I've seen this damn trailer 50 fucking times over the last 2 years because this movie keeps coming out, or they keep getting pushed back. And
who's done that? Trailer. Top Gun Maverick.
Top Gun, yeah, but we got a new trailer though. We got a new trailer for that finally.
Now we did, yeah.
But we had the same trailer for Top Gun Maverick for like a good year and a half, and they kept putting it on every damn movie, and it was just like, I don't care. Now the word of mouth for Top Gun Maverick's through the roof because people are finally seeing it and they're saying it's fantastic. We'll find out at the end of the month. But for the longest time, it was like, I don't care about Top Gun Maverick. I've seen this damn trailer more times than I can count. Like, I can recite this damn trailer. I've seen this trailer so many damn times. I literally wish I could think of the movie. It wasn't even a big movie. It was like a comedy or something like that. It was like a rom-com comedy or something where they showed the damn trailer. It was something like, it wasn't Sonic. It wasn't like Detective Pikachu or anything like that. But it was something where it was like for a good 2-3 years, we saw this trailer in every damn movie for forever. And I was like, I don't think this movie's ever going to come out. I literally think this is a joke. Like, they're just gonna keep showing a trailer for this movie, and this film's never actually gonna see the light of day. Like, New Mutants was for that for the longest time, but they didn't really flood the trailers for that because everyone knew the movie wasn't gonna be that good. But that's the thing now is that it's like you can't. you can blame them, but you can't, because movies getting pushed back obviously aren't planned, and it's, they're told, hey, we got to put this trailer reel, because that's the thing. Like I said, working in a movie theater, you don't get to put whatever trailer you want on these movies. You're told these are the 6 trailers or 3 trailers, whatever, that you have to put on these films.
Because studios have paid for placements. Like, we want
exactly. Now there might
trailer in front of this movie. We have paid to have our movie.
Yeah, there might be a spot where it's like, pick a trailer, make sure it's
couple spots, yeah,
PG or PG-13, blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
You can get away with stuff like that, but more times than not, if it's some like, oh, here's a DreamWorks movie, okay, so we got to show this DreamWorks trailer and this one and this one and this one. Like Rise of Gru, that was one I think I've seen that stupid, like, you sold my thing for a rock trailer more times than I can count. But yeah, it's marketing stuff like that it's just like, in today's landscape, I feel like you don't need to focus as much on the trailers, or not the trailers, the marketing, as you do, because a lot of times a lot of stuff's being self-marketed from people like us doing videos, like, the Real Rejects, who, we both like. They talked about Spider-Man for 3 solid months, once a week on a show, all the way up, and they hadn't even seen the damn trailer yet. And they did the same thing for Doctor Strange. It's like, we're out there doing the work for you. You don't have to spend 50 to 150 million in marketing anymore. You just don't. Now, if it's a smaller film, like Everything Everywhere All at Once, or The Northman, or hell, even The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, you might have to put a little more into it, so people are going to go see those instead of going to see, the tentpole, MCU, Fantastic Beasts, stuff like that. But it's coming to those things where there's an art to it, but a lot of the times now they're doing it wrong. MCU's doing it right, except for Doctor Strange. I didn't like how they did Doctor Strange, but with No Way Home and Love and Thunder, they did it the right way. Endgame, they held off as long as they could. I think that was more them being forced into it. And with even Infinity War, I think they did that really well. But then you got your stuff like your Morbius, or your Venoms, or the Hobbs and Shaw and F9 and stuff like that, where it's just like, you're shooting yourselves in the foot unnecessarily. You don't need to do this. And if you just trusted your fans and trusted word of mouth, then you wouldn't have to blow all this money and make your movies almost not be a success, but just not put yourselves already in a hole before the movie comes out. Now, I mean, granted, Doctor Strange had like $185 million opening this weekend in the US, and I think it's like a $450 million international or worldwide already. So it's already made its money back. But it's an MCU movie, it's going to. Yeah. But then you look at something like I said, Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, or Northman, or Everything Everywhere All at Once, where they're not probably going to make their money back unless it's going to be from streaming and stuff like that. And it's like I said, that's what we were talking about earlier in the year, where we're worried, with the death of the movie theater episode, where it's like so many of these movies deserve a shot. Like you and I, one of our movies that we're excited for coming out this summer is Prey. It's a Predator movie, and they're just dropping it on Hulu. Like, when did The Predator not become a box office movie film? Granted, the last couple of movies weren't that great, but when did that movie all of a sudden not deserve?
I almost think that one was more. This is a bit of a tangent, but I think that one became a victim of the fact that there is such a push for streaming now. It's like, well, what's a property we have that we can drop a big movie on our streaming service to try and get people to go watch it? I think they figured, what, the last couple didn't perform great theatrically. Maybe we can leverage this one that way.
But you can do what they did with Peacock with Halloween Kills. Halloween Kills, they were granted, we hate that fucking film, but Halloween Kills was consistently sold as a movie theater experience, movie theater film, and then it was like the week of, they would go, and it's dropping on Peacock same time.
They're doing that. Firestarter this week.
Yeah, Firestarter this week as well. They didn't start pitching Firestarter. Now Firestarter is not Halloween Kills though. Yeah. But that's another one. It was like, they're not pitching it as a Peacock release. They're pitching it as a movie theater release, and they go, oh, and it'll also be on Peacock on day one. HBO Max, that was the problem with HBO Max with the first year when they were doing that, is like, they kept pitching it's going to be on HBO Max. It's like, cool, guys, you do realize that this is also going to be in theaters. You should try push.
Well, that's the irony of it is while some people are going that direction now, it's become a major thing. If you watch trailers in the last 6 months, a big thing in trailers is only in theaters,
exclusively in theaters.
Yeah, or exclusively in theaters, because there's things like I don't remember. I know Bullet Train is one of them that did it. I know there's many of the major movies.
Jurassic World, Dominion.
They're making a big deal out of only in theaters because they know that so much of the audience over the past year and a half has been accustomed to like, oh, you know what, we can watch this at home too. It's like, no, if you want to see this movie, this is an event. You need to go to the theater. And so they're actually turning around and using that as a part of their marketing is come see this in the theater. You can't watch it.
I was telling you when I went.
Now, granted, in many cases, it's only 17 to 45 days. You can only see it in theaters, but still.
True. But like I was telling you with at the Doctor Strange premiere, I got the Jurassic World Dominion trailer, and then they showed a couple other trailers. And they had a commercial, and they were showing Jurassic World Dominion in this small of a screen, like basically a cell phone screen. It's like, if you think you can watch this movie in this screen, you're doing yourself a disservice. And they kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger until it was full screen on the theater. Like, this movie is built for a movie theater experience. Mm-hmm. Don't cut yourself short. See this in theaters, only in theaters. Don't wait for small screen. And it's like, that's a good promotion right there, because that is the way the world is now. People are waiting to watch it on their laptops or watch it on their cell phone, which I still can't understand how people watch movies on their cell phones. That just laptops are like, that's a little mini TV. That's fine. Especially if you're standing like as far away as I'm right now.
It's still not the movie theater experience for something like Jurassic Park.
It's not, but it's like, how the hell can you watch a movie on, like, I'll watch a TV show on my phone, but I will never watch a movie on my phone. But that was a great marketing. I don't think it needed to be done after they showed the Jurassic World trailer or on top of that. But it's one of those things where they started with a small thing. Like, that was smart movie marketing right there. This movie is bigger than you think it is. You need to see it on the big screen. Avatar, I mean, I'm sure they're going to probably do more with that as we get closer to December. That's going to be all about trying to get people into the theaters to see that. Obviously, by doing the whole, like, what was it, like, first weekend, you can only see it the trailer in theaters kind of thing, trying to get people out to see that, which of course obviously helped Doctor Strange. But we're not in the days anymore where people went to go see a movie to see the trailer, because that was another thing where back in the day where people were like, oh, we went and saw this movie because it dropped the trailer for.
Well, that was the other benchmark of marketing was like I said, we get to episode 1, Star Wars, which that was another thing where you could not go anywhere with it. You'd see Star Wars in grocery store, in toy stores, anywhere you went. Star Wars.
Doritos had Anakin and Yoda on it.
that was the biggest marketing push in history, was Star Wars Episode 1. But the big thing about that was when they released the trailers, I remember it was Meet Joe Black and The Waterboy. The first weekend they dropped this trailer, you had to go to theaters, and it was going to be attached to those two movies. And those two movies had giant bumps in box office because people would pay to go see the movie just to watch the trailer and then leave. And it was, and then they did it a week or two later. They also added it to The Siege, and the same thing. The Siege, which had been out for a couple weeks, all of a sudden got this bump in its box office because people would pay just to go see the trailer and then leave. And then now, even after that, because I mean, this is like I said, the kind of the early days of the internet. At one point, you could finally, you could download the trailer, but it would take you anywhere from 10 minutes to 5 hours, depending on how big a window you wanted to watch it on your TV, on your computer. And even then, it would just be really choppy and bad quality in that. So if you wanted to see it, people were paying to see it in theaters.
Yeah, that was a good marketing thing, and a lot of people thought. I remember working at the movie theater when they would do that stuff, and it was funny because, like, I can't remember the movies anymore, but I think it was like when Episode 2's trailer got dropped. I can't remember what movie it was attached to, but I remember it was like, oh, you know, because it wasn't a big movie, and I was like, oh, this movie's pretty much almost sold out. That's weird. And everyone goes, yeah, you know why, right? Because the Episode 2 trailer's on it. I'm like, oh, and then sure enough, we're like, they go, I guarantee you we're gonna see at least 20 people walk out of this theater here in the next 10 minutes. And we would just stand out there and wait. And sure enough, like half the theater just left. And they would go, when's the next showing for this? Because they just wanted to go back into the next showing of that movie just to watch that trailer again. And I was just like, sure, we'll sell you another ticket, you idiots. It's like,
well, that's the thing is I miss honestly when you could only watch trailers in theaters. Because I mean, yes, we can watch trailers online and we have access to them, so we get to see more of them, and you can watch them on demand whenever you want to check it out. Oh, I want to see the trailer again. Let's watch it. But it seems to, and I get that from a marketing standpoint, they have to do that. but it's kind of lost that special. Because I remember when you go in theaters, first of all, teaser trailers especially, you would go in there and this trailer would show up like Cloverfield or whatever, and you have no idea what this movie's for. And it's like, that was this nice surprise. And you didn't know what was coming up and what movies you're going to see trailers for. Nowadays, even if it's a teaser, mysterious thing, you know what you're clicking on. This is the teaser trailer for this movie.
Yeah.
And so there's not that surprise to it. And you don't have the thing where you can only see in theaters. There's like a mystery of, oh, what trailers am I going to see today? But now that's not a thing.
I always try, whenever I'm trying to show someone a trailer, like, and they're like right next to me, obviously not like, sending them a link, because I don't want them to know what it is. Because I don't want them to know what it is either until it starts to play. Like whenever I'm like the new Obi-Wan trailer dropped like last week, and I wanted to show it to my dad, but I didn't want my dad to know it was Obi-Wan. So like I clicked on it, I had it paused, I moved it like a second in so that way you couldn't see it, and then I made sure like before I hit play, like the fucking border things were gonna pop saying Obi-Wan trailer. Like I did that myself because I wanted him to be watching like, all right, what is this? Obi-Wan. And it's like, because you want that excitement. You want, like, I still am to a point, which part of me is also like, why I still do this, is I was always a person that needed to be at the theater before the trailer started because I loved watching the trailers.
That's part of the movie experience for me is the trailers. Yeah.
And then we're like, oh, I can't wait to see that. Or I can't, like, that's one thing that my mom would always do is whenever we go see a movie together after a trailer, she goes, oh, we got to see that. Or, yeah, no. Like, if it was a horror, she's like, yeah, no, you can see that without me. You're not going to drag me to that.
I did that with my kids when they were little. I would go see a movie, and after every trailer, I look at them, and they'd give me a thumbs up or thumbs down.
Yeah, like, I loved that. Nowadays, you go to a trailer now, it's like, all right, I've already seen the trailer like 20 times because I saw it at home. Like, that's what I'll do. That's what I do now with my parents because they don't go on YouTube or anything like that. Is when I know I've seen like 5 to 10 good trailers and I know that they're, stuff that they would be interested in, I'll basically create my own little trailer reel thing. And I'm like, hey, I got some trailers to show you. And then I'll hit the first one and then just let them sit there and for 20, 30 minutes and watch all these trailers and get them excited about movies because they're not going to necessarily always come to the theater. So, and B, we don't know what movies they're going to show. And they might never ever see the damn trailer for the movie I want them to see. But I miss that. I miss like, we got to get there at this time because we're going to miss if I miss a trailer, I swear to God kind of thing. And it's like, now it's like,
I would see they did the big thing this weekend of how the Avatar trailer was only available in theaters for this past weekend. Yeah. What do we get? And especially in like IMAX 3D, it was supposed to be like this. It supposed it looks like really super awesome in 3D. So I had already seen Doctor Strange once in just regular IMAX, but because the first show was not a 3D one because they're only doing that once a day. And so I went back on, I don't know what day it was, Sunday or something, Monday maybe. And I was like, I'm going to watch Doctor Strange again, this time in IMAX 3D, make sure I'm there to see the Avatar trailer in IMAX 3D. And it came up and the 3D was fucked up. The screen was all pink and green and stuff like, no. So we went out and told somebody and they fixed it before the movie started. But I'm like, but I wanted to see the trailer.
Yeah, I was telling you when I went to go see the movie that I went to the better theater. I didn't go to the one that was locally because I was at work. So I just went to the good theater. And I can tell you, like, I was getting worried because they showed like 10 trailers. And I'm not like my small theater here, they show like maybe 3 trailers and like 5 commercials. And then the movie plays. And like every time they kept showing like every movie that was coming out this summer. And I was like, I was getting angry because I'm like, I swear to God, if I don't get to see this fucking Avatar commercial or trailer, I'm going to be pissed because they promised. And like after like the 10th trailer, I'm like, here's Thor Love and Thunder. Here's Jurassic World. I'm like, they're so not going to show me Avatar. Like, why am I getting so mad about this? Like, I don't care that much. And then as soon as Avatar came, I'm like, yes! It's like, I'm not a huge Avatar fan, but it was you can only see this by seeing Doctor Strange. That's not what brought me there because I wanted to see Doctor Strange. But it was the other thing, like, because I knew that I could only see this while seeing this movie, I was like getting anxious and getting pissed when I was like, why isn't this trailer coming up? Because that's how movie marketing should be done.
Yeah, and as of this, like yesterday, I think it was.
I think I was about to say that same thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, they put it online, but it's that first weekend you couldn't see it. And my problem, let's say my other problem with watching trailers online, is trailers online always start with a little mini condensed version of the trailer.
I hate that so damn much.
And it's
Oh my
so
God,
annoying. Now, the reason they do it is because as you're scrolling through Facebook or whatever, and a video starts to autoplay, they want to be like, boom, look at these cool scenes. And then so you'll click on and watch the whole trailer.
So
But I hate that it's like, you start a trailer, it's like, here's the upcoming trailer. It's like, I'm watching it already. Why are you?
My parents get so confused. They're like, wait, what just happened? Like, was that it? I'm like, no, that's just a stupid teaser.
That's just the 5-second version of the trailer you're about to
that's
watch.
a stupid teaser to the trailer you're about to watch.
Yeah.
It's such a stupid fucking sentence to say. That's the teaser to the trailer you're about to watch right now. But yeah, it's and like they said, like Avatar had like the biggest like after 1 or 2 days already online, it has the most viewed.
Well, that's the thing is, yes, people see trailers in theaters, but really modern marketing is all about, well, not all about, but mostly about online. Because I mean, the most people are going to watch it because, like you said, it had however many millions of views the Avatar had in the first 24 hours. Yes, a lot of people saw it in theaters, but it's going to reach a whole lot more people if they can just click on it in their home, whether or not they went to see Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
And I mean, to the point where even Super Bowl spots, that used to be the big place to watch movie trailers, and now there's less and less of those every year. And now, even when there is a trailer,
if they are, they're in the first, like they're in the pregame or in the first quarter.
And even if there is, it's usually like a 30-second one that says, "Go to this website to watch the full trailer." Because instead of buying a 2.5-minute spot at whatever the huge rate is,
$4 million,
they can buy a 30-second spot and be like, "Hey," and then go watch the full trailer, which just dropped online.
Yeah,
and it's smart, but it's just like it just shows that online is such a major thing, and for good and bad. Because the other thing that they're doing with modern marketing is the social media marketing with obviously the stars can promote their movies on Twitter and things like that. When they start having trying to get influencers to push movies, I'm just like, oh, I hate social media influencers. But anyway, that's a whole different thing.
Well, because that was the funny thing, is because you and I both saw the trailer, and you and I were like, wait, so what's that one part like that? Did you understand that part? We're not. I know. I'm talking vaguely. I'm not supposed to talk about the fucking spoiler for an Avatar trailer. We were talking about the human. Like, wait, did he have a human kid, or who is that? A tribe of humans? Like, what is this? Because we couldn't watch it because we could only see it in the theater. Now we can go back and rewatch it over and over and over again. But it was like you and I were just like trying to have a discussion. We're like, I don't know. Like, I can't. But we were talking about it.
Yeah.
Because we could only go off of the one time we saw it. Now, unless we wanted to go spend money to go see Doctor Strange again, which I'm not against doing, but I'm not going there to rewatch the Avatar trailer. This isn't the days of Star Wars where you go and you're like that, because that's what we used to do too. And when we were at the theater, is that we knew what trailer reels were on what movies, and when they would release the Return of the King trailer, or the Two Towers trailer, or the Star Wars or the Harry Potter trailers, we always knew, hey, Theater 16 is going to have this trailer. It's about 5 minutes into the trailer reel. If you get in there around 7:08, you should be in there within 10 seconds before the trailer starts. And we would just coordinate, oh man, how many times have you seen that trailer? Oh, 18 times. This sweet. When's the next one? Oh, it's in theater 2 in 15 minutes. Sweet. And yeah, I mean, we're all supposed to be working too, but it's we would coordinate when to see these trailers when they would come out, and I miss those days. Now it's I'll see something new pop up, and I said it to Brian. Brian's like, "Yeah, I already saw it." I'm like,
that's because it's all about online now. Because I mean, let's face it. The old ways. I mean, print and radio are useless. It's a waste of dollars if they spend much marketing there. TV ads aren't really effective anymore because everyone's moving to streaming, with the exception of sports, which is why you will see them drop trailers in the middle of sports playoff games and things like that, or Monday Night Football, because those are the few places where they know we're going to have enough eyeballs to make marketing it here worthwhile. Yeah. But otherwise, it's
that's what they did for, I think it was Rise of Skywalker, where it was the very first trailer for Rise of Skywalker they dropped on, I think it was Monday Night Football.
Mm-hmm.
It was you can only see the first trailer on Monday night. I think it was during halftime.
ESPN, which is part of what?
Disney. And they were, and even the commentators yeah, make sure you stick around for the halftime. Don't click somewhere because the Rise of Skywalker trailer is coming. And we're yeah.
Well, and then CBS did the same thing. I think it was during the Super Bowl. They were pushing for Halo because it's Paramount.
Yeah.
It's all CBS. They're all connected too. So it's that's the other thing, is the corporate synergy that goes into it. But yeah, I mean, it shows that they're not putting their money into TV unless it's said something like that. So online is kind of where it's at, and for better or worse, Which
is also why we hate / praise Netflix for what they do, because we're hey, we don't know what's this movie is yet?" I was like, "Yes, because they're not going to drop the damn trailer till like right before it comes out. Like Hustle comes out, I think it was June 9th, and they just dropped the trailer for Hustle yesterday." And we're like, "Yeah, like we saw that like little like 3-second little thing here at the beginning of the year, but we really don't know what this movie's about." And then we finally get the trailer a month or even sometimes 2 weeks out, and then we can get excited about it. Netflix does it right. Like Netflix will be like, "Hey, this is coming. You ain't gonna see anything though."
But at the same time, I think so many people like don't know things are coming out on Netflix, so they go undiscovered for the longest time, or they could have had more views, but people don't know what's there.
Yeah, like it's good and bad, but if you're subscribed to Netflix on YouTube, you'll know when the trailer's out, But if you're not, then you're like, "Oh crap, that dropped on Netflix. I didn't even realize." It's because when was the last time you were on Netflix?
Right.
But long and short of it is, we were kind of all over the place in this episode. We hate movie marketing. We love movie marketing. Oh, here's some great things. Here's some bad things.
But I have one more thing before you start. You sound like you're starting to wrap things up.
Go ahead.
We've talked a whole lot about trailers. I want to talk about movie posters for a minute, which is a big part of movie marketing.
That is very, very true.
Movie posters are still like, there are still movie posters displayed in movie theaters, but it has not become the big thing as it used to be, because you're just seeing them basically online.
Yeah.
But again, it's like they used to have these like creative, intriguing. Especially just like with teaser trailers, teaser posters were like, I don't even know what this movie is. What is this movie that they're trying to advertise coming out? Or we just like give a glimpse of like part of somebody's like costume, and you like know who it is, but you can't get a full look at them. And it's very intriguing and things like that, which I love that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then even when the final poster comes out, it used to be like something that's kind of cool, kind of artistic, and kind of like art I would want to have on my wall. I have movie posters all over my walls because they're beautiful posters. There are very few, if anything, here like past the year 2000, because what happened is then it became, oh well, let's just make every poster like floating heads. There'd be like there'd be whatever the main setting of it was, or a vehicle or whatever it was in the middle of it, and then the 2 stars or 2 or 3 stars floating heads floating above it. And then that has now given away to what I call cast stacking, where it's just like 50 characters shoved on a poster, usually like a pyramid or like across the thing, and it's just like it just looks horrible. And like, yes, you can see all the stars' faces that are in it, but that's not what I want to see in a movie poster.
What's funny though is movie posters now are almost like trailers. The teaser poster are usually the best posters because they're the most vague or whatever, and then they come out with like, here's the real movie poster, and then it's like everybody in it, and it's like, okay, cool. If I'm gonna buy let's use Jurassic World Dominion real quick. The first poster they came out with was the logo in the Ember, which looks beautiful. It's a beautiful poster. The new one has got Malcolm and Alan and all of them on it, and some dinosaurs with the Ember like really, really tiny. And I'm just like, if I'm gonna buy a poster for my wall, I'm gonna buy the one with just the Ember logo, because that one is beautiful. Not this garbage of just a jumbled mess of stuff. Yeah. One of the best movie posters of all time, in my opinion, is the original Jurassic Park logo. All it's got is the logo, and it's 65 million years in the making. Same thing with the Jaws poster. The Jaws poster is just the shark, obviously way bigger than what Bruce actually is, but shark shooting up with the person not knowing about it. There are so many iconic movie posters. And like you said, if you're going to buy movie posters for your wall or for whatever, you're not looking at the stuff today. You're looking at the iconic ones. You're looking at the
think about the perfect example of this. The perfect example of this is the original is the 89 run of Batman. The first poster, Batman logo. Most of them didn't even have the word Batman on it. It just had the logo. I remember my mom looked at that poster.
The foot. Huh? Me too. Just like Godzilla 98 right here with just the foot.
Yeah. So the Batman had that. No posters that they ever released, at least theatrical posters, had Michael Keaton or Jack Nicholson's face on it. They had the names on it, at the top, but that was it. The second movie, all of a sudden, it's like, oh, here's Michael Keaton, Danny DeVito, and Michelle Pfeiffer. you know, by the time you get the third movie, there's like this string of 4 or 5 action cars stop.
Yeah, like the swoop thing.
Yeah, and then by the time they had Batman and Robin, it was like the circle of like what 8 people.
I think Batman and Robin was like literally like a square. It was like you had Clooney, you had O'Donnell, you had Mr. Freeze, and you had Ivy.
But then you also had Lisa Silverstone on it. There was more people on it. But it's just like it's more and more people, and then now to the point where I think Spider-Man No Way Home, one of the last theatrical posters released, was one of the worst offenders. And honestly, Avengers Infinity War,
Homecoming was
like
bad.
50 people crammed onto this poster, and it's like, oh, please.
I want to say it was Homecoming, or it was one of the MC movies around when Homecoming came out. Where it was really
bad too. Yeah,
really bad Photoshop.
Yeah.
There's also someone reposted and I forgot all about it. Ready Player One has got one where it's I'm blanking on the kid's name. He's climbing up what looks like a ladder.
Oh, in his leg.
And a super, super long leg.
And bad Photoshop is always a fun thing too.
Yes.
Or Tomb Raider, Alicia Vikander's neck. Have you ever seen that one?
Which one?
Tomb Raider, the Alicia Vikander version.
Oh yes, her neck.
Yeah, like this weird Photoshop elongated neck, and I loved the best thing about that was for like the next week after that, the memes and the posts people were making with like super giraffe necks and like a Brachiosaurus, and
it's one of those things where it's like we bash these, but when they do give us these little gems like this, we're like, I love this. It's like you get little things like that. I can't. There's so many of them. If you guys just want to look up like messed up movie posters or stuff, you can have some real good fun. Yeah. Like finding that stuff. And like I said, the Ready Player One popped up. Someone posted it the other day, like, I will never get over this guy, or what's his name's leg. I was like, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, that's pretty bad. But yeah, movie posters are just as iconic, but especially when it comes to the marketing. But yeah, nowadays you go and Lost City, they have one like that too, where it's just like an explosion and Tatum and Bullock and Radcliffe and everybody. It's just movie posters aren't fun anymore. They're just not. And it's like, every time because I always have to take, grab a picture of the poster because I got to put it on like the rankings and stuff. And I click on it. I'm trying to find like which one actually looks good. And it sucks because usually the ones that look good, I can't like download. And so I gotta grab the generic like million faces one. I was like, I don't want that one on my picture for the show. It's like, but it's what I'm stuck with, and like the Cloverfield one. Right over my shoulder here. That Cloverfield poster, that is a fantastic poster, with the Statue of Liberty shredded. Even the Dark Knight one above me. The Dark Knight one had like 5 fantastic posters for that movie. You had the Joker behind like the
when they didn't reveal what he looked like. The Why So Serious poster.
Yeah, the Why So you couldn't see what he was. And you have this one here where the Batman logo's burned. On the building. Dark Knight Rises had a good one where it looks like you're looking up at the sky falling with the logo. Like Batman actually had really fucking good. The Nolan trilogy had really good posters. But yeah, it's just with the way that stuff is now. It's
movie marketing has just changed so much where it's like nothing. It's unless you get somebody like Spielberg who has the power to be like, no, we're going to market this the way I say I want to market it.
Which is why it drives me nuts that Feige. Why hasn't Feige stepped in?
Yeah, I would think Feige would have that power, but then again, at the same time, it's Disney is such a behemoth, can do what they want, but it's this marketing is the way it is now because basically they don't care about the artistic nature of the poster or trailer. It's a business, and it's all about the first weekend, the first 2 weekends. That's where they make like 90% of their money. I mean, some movies.
We're not back to the days of Titanic, where for 19 straight weeks.
Yeah, occasionally get something like Greatest Showman, which opened miserably, but it kept playing and it ended up making a ton of money. But that's the exception. Most of these movies are going to make all their money in the first couple weeks, and that's all the marketing's job is. Get everyone in their opening weekend, even if it means giving away everything and showing all the stars and making everything about. That's what they're worried about, and that's the way it is these days. And it doesn't change the way the movies are, but it does take away from the experience.
Which is why you and I do what we say we do: is we watch the teaser. We try really, really hard.
John had a hard time when he went and saw. What was it you went and saw? And you were like, "No, they're showing it. No, they're showing it."
I did that with Fallen Kingdom, which is why I was able to not see the last half of the movie. I remember a trailer ran, and my dad was with me, and I was like, "La la 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 la."
I think it wasn't. You were saying they showed the Dominion one.
Yeah, when I saw Doctor Strange, they showed a new Dominion trailer, which I had avoided watching here at home. I was like, I'm not going to watch that. There was another one that was another movie. I can't remember what it was, where they had released a second trailer for it. I was like, I'm not going to watch it. But then Doctor Strange had both of them on there. And I'm like, I'm not gonna do that in this theater. I was like, so I guess I'm gonna see these. And I watched the Dominion trailer. I was like, I felt like I just saw way too much of this movie.
Now,
And
granted, that it wasn't the kind of trailer which I think gave away any spoilers or anything, but it showed
there's some
scenes that,
really cool moments in those.
but it showed scenes that might be more exciting if you didn't see anything going in.
Exactly.
But that's the world we live in now.
Exactly, and that's like I said, there's good, there's bad with it. Like I said, Brian and I, we do our best to try to avoid it, but the problem is we can avoid the trailers, but then people are doing screenshots and putting them on Twitter, and you're like, well, shit, I didn't want to see that, but it literally just popped up on my screen as soon as I went there. And that's movie marketing, everybody. That's what this whole episode was about, is us venting about it, talking about good with the bad, and how we just kind of wish it was back to the good old days where Dark Knight and Batman and or like Jurassic Park and Jaws, where you just don't give us, or Cloverfield, give us as little as you can. Just let us go and have us figure it out ourselves. If the movie's good, we're gonna see the damn thing. If it's not good, we ain't gonna see it. But yeah, we hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you guys did, go and hit that like, share, and subscribe button to the channel so you guys stay up to date with all the latest videos pop up on the Movie Crusaders. Of course, don't forget to follow us on all the social media outlets you see below. Firestarter and Senior Year both come out this weekend. I don't know if I'm going to watch either one of them. If I do, I'll have reviews for them, but don't hold your breath, especially on either one of those. I'm probably going to go see Doctor Strange again, because I'd rather go see that again than watch either one of those two movies. Not that they're not going to be bad or good. They don't really go, ooh, I want to see that so bad. We're just counting down the days for Top Gun Maverick now. But we'll be back next week. Brian and I will be back. We will be doing our actor, actress, director showcase, where we will be talking about Quentin Tarantino, Julia Roberts, and Tom Cruise, right before Top Gun Maverick comes out. So we have that episode, as well as last week. We had our Doctor Strange spoiler and non-spoiler review. And then before that, we also had our summer movie preview, where Brian and I went over our, talk about the summer movies, where we think they're going to be in box office and all that kind of fun stuff. So check out all those videos. Until next time, I'm Sean Waskrew. That is Brian Michaels. We are the Movie Crusaders. And until next time, in case we don't see you, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, Movie Crusaders.
You're still here. It's over. Go home.